The second thing, which I think is of great importance today, is what is happening in Paris. There is a summit of NATO leaders and EU leaders all getting together. And in some of the press releases and press conferences before this, there has been a new escalation in the rhetoric and the saber rattling, the calls for war against Russia in Ukraine. This is dangerous, as any escalation of what the West is doing in Ukraine is dangerous. We have had from the beginning the West sending billions of pounds and dollars and euros to the Zelensky regime. A lot of it has disappeared into a black hole, and a lot of it has been laundered back to buy weapons from military industrial complex firms in the West, particularly the United States. So some of the people who are lobbying governments and leaders in the West are actually benefiting financially from keeping this war going and prolonging the war. They don't care about the ordinary people of Ukraine. If they did, they would not have escalated this war from the very beginning. And we know, of course, that Boris Johnson went over to Ukraine, and as President Putin said in his interview with Tucker Carlson, he scuppered a peace deal which could have been had in April 2022, a couple of months after the start of the special military operation, and then hundreds of thousands of people who have now died because we've kept it going. I say we, as the West, we have to hold our leaders to account and disassociate ourselves from people that are in our countries who are doing this terrible thing. If they weren't doing this, hundreds of thousands of people would still be alive today, and this conflict, this war, would not be going on with the destructiveness that it is. But they are calling for a greater escalation, and this is what Robert Fico, the the Prime Minister of Slovakia, has said about the conference or summit that is going on today. Ahead of that, he says that there are some papers being laid that imply a number of NATO and EU member states are considering sending troops to Ukraine on a bilateral basis. So they're going to say, oh, this is not NATO, it's British troops or French troops or German troops or whatever nation's troops, soldiers are going to Ukraine to directly confront Russia in armed conflict. How people don't see that this is absolutely insane and idiotic is beyond me. But this seems to be what the leaders of NATO countries and EU countries are doing. As Peter Hitchens, the journalist, said, NATO seems to be now creating the very problem that it was made to avoid happening. That is a hot war with the East. First to the Soviet Union, now obviously Russia. Russia could be our partner, even a friend, if we had got history right. But we have got history so wrong. And what we're doing, not again, I say we, the leaders of the collective West, who I oppose in their escalation of war, are doing such a bad thing. They've got this so wrong. First of all, giving artillery to the Zelensky regime, and then armored vehicles, HIMARS weapon systems, depleted uranium shells, Storm Shadow cruise missiles, and then they're talking about F-16s maybe turning up in the future, and now directly sending troops of the nation states of NATO to go there. Putin has warned, if this happens, then this will be, there may be a severe response from the Russian side. We need to avoid this at all costs and circumstances. They are taking us and plunging and running headlong towards World War III. This is a dangerous escalation. We need to stand against it, call it out. And please, please, at the next election, vote for parties that don't want to escalate war. Maybe my party, the Heritage Party. Certainly don't vote for Tory and Labour and Reform, who want to escalate war in this country. We need to get on the off-ramp from this conflict and make and seek peace.